Hey everybody, so I wanted to do another one of these walkthrough videos, but this time I want to do a little bit of a twist. So I know we've been talking a lot about Bollinger Bands and relative strength index. I want to look at something a little different this time, and I'm going to use Funko as an example because it's a stock that I recently traded. Now I know I don't talk about the stocks that I recently trade a lot because I don't want anyone copying my trades without doing their own due diligence. But in the case of Funko, since I've already talked about it on TikTok, it's a stock that people are familiar that I've traded. So. Here we've got Funko. Now, in 2019, if you were to say to me, like, tell me all the stocks you traded in 2019, I couldn't name them, except for this one, Funko. Funko was my one big stock of 2019 that I traded the most consistently. And that's something that I kind of encourage new traders and all traders to do is find what works for you, find something that is consistent, and then stick to it. I feel like new traders get very overwhelmed with all the possibilities, right? I get DMs all the time. I'm interested in. I don't know anything about. Can you tell me about? And it's too much, and they get very overwhelmed. And so what I think ends up happening is they just throw their hands up. Should I invest? It's not just the stock market. Should I invest? Should I trade? Should I swing trade? Should I day trade? What about options, puts, calls, shorts? Currency like Forex, cryptocurrency, gold, bonds, silver, and they just give up. And what I try to encourage people to do is find what works for you and stick with it. Just stick with it. So for me, it was Funko in 2019. This was my bread and butter stock. It was my consistent from 19 to 24. I would trade it in that range over and over and over. Then they got some mismanagement. They had some bad earnings, and the stock just took a nosedive. Recently, though, it's been coming back, so it's been on my radar. Within the last couple of weeks or so, they started talking about this non-fungible token stuff, which is like based off of crypto, and it's unique. Usually, it's going to be like in the form of like some digital art, but it's unique, one of a kind of things. I'm not the expert, so don't quote me on any of this. But Funko announced that they were getting into the game. That's really all you need to know. NFTs are big. Funko is in. Here we go. So when this news started coming out that Funko was looking to get into this, I thought this could be something now long term. It's a company. What I like about this is unlike Beanie Babies, which was just the Beanie Babies, and that was it. It's a fad. It's a hot thing. It's over. Funko is thinking long term. No, we're not just going to be these little toys. We're going to branch out. They've got board games. There's been rumors of a TV show where they're going to create their own toys and their own heroes and stuff and then be able to sell those toys. Now they're getting in on the NFT crypto kind of thing. This is a company that is saying we don't want to just be a fad. To me, I'm thinking this is a company I should maybe consider investing in. So I started to look around and started thinking about maybe getting back in, and I started buying some shares as an investor. Now, when I'm investing in these companies, I'm not trading. When I'm trading a company, I'll buy 500 shares, maybe 1,000 shares, depending on the price. If it's $15 a share, I'm not buying obviously 1,000 shares, but I'll buy 3, 4, 500. When I'm investing in a company, I'm much more small time because my money is made off of my swing trades and my day trades. So I don't want to put all of my capital into investments all at once. I'll wait. I've got the luxury of time on my side. So I will just wait for the most opportune times to start buying in bits and pieces on these investments. So I've been doing 100 shares at a time. So I want to walk you through my most recent trade with Funko, which I know I said I was going to invest in this company, but then something happened and it just became too good to be true. And I'm going to use this chart to explain why, because it might happen to you in the future. So I want to go back 10 days. First thing I want to talk about, which is unrelated to this particular trade, but is something that I want to show you, is the 200-day moving average, which you can see is this yellow line right here. A lot of traders use this as an indicator that a stock is reversing from a bear market to a bull market, or from a bull market to a bear market if the stock price crosses above or below. So here's an example. If the stock is trading down here and the 200-day moving average is on top, and the stock is obviously in a bear market because it's going down, and then the stock starts to reverse and it starts climbing higher and higher, and it's getting closer and closer to this 200-day moving average, and then it breaks this 200-day moving average on, say, a very strong day of lots of volume, that is seen as a reversal from bear to bull, and that's a buying signal for traders. I should be buying the stock now because it just crossed the 200-day moving average. This is a bullish indicator. So In that aspect of things, we use this as an indicator to point out potential reversals from bear to bull or bull to bear. But we also use the 200-day moving average as a support line. And this is a 10-day chart. And you can see, even though I bought the stock on the 25th, which is this day right here, forget about that for a second. Just look at this line. What do you notice every time the stock has a sell-off? With one exception, which is right here. It hits the 200-day moving average, and it bounces back up. It hits the 200-day moving average, thereabouts, right down here, and it moves back up. It hits, 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 it moves back up, right? It's getting a little repetitive here, but it happens every time. Here, it breaks the 200-day moving average, and looks like it could be going lower because not only does it break the 200-day, but it also breaks the Bollinger Band's support line. But what we notice is the volume is like non-existent, so not really worried about that. Pretty much though, with one exception, every time, and I guess this, but this might have been pre-market, every time it gets close to this yellow line, it bounces back up. So that's one thing to consider. The other thing to consider is it has these humongous run-ups, and then it pulls back. Usually traders wait 3 times to confirm a trend. I didn't, but that's okay, and I'm going to explain why. So the first thing I notice is on this day right here, we go from 17 whatever all the way up to around 21. Pretty good day. Then what happens? It immediately sells off as soon as it gets overbought. Then we have another big day, and look, the volume the volume corresponds to these breakouts. Breakout, rally, dump. Breakout, rally, dump, all on the same day, every time it gets overbought. So as someone who's been trading for 11 years, I have a little bit more of a risk tolerance. I can look at something like this and go, all right, I'm going to take a chance here. A new trader might not want to do that because when they take a chance, they're going, please be right, please be right, please be right. And when they're wrong, they don't cut their losses because, oh man, I don't want to be wrong. For me, even though we've only had 2 examples of this happening, I'm going to say, you know what, we're bouncing off the 200-day moving average, which is what I've noticed happens a couple times already. We've had these big days where in the same day it plummets. Okay, I'm going to take a chance. I'm going to get in here. Anyway, this NFT news seems promising. So as an investor, I'm going to buy this stock, and this seems like a good point to buy for 2 reasons. 1, we're bouncing off the 200-day moving average. 2, every time we have these huge rallies, we pull back and then we go a little higher, right? Pull back, go higher. Pull back, what could happen, I wonder. So I bought here. I had my reasons. I had my 2 reasons. 1, it gets overbought, it sells off. 1, it gets overbought, it sells off. And 2, this support line. So I bought right around here. As an investor, even though you're an investor, you still want to get the best price you can. You don't want to buy here as an investor when the indicators are saying it's going to pull back. Why would you do that? A lot of people say, well, you're investing. Who cares? You just buy whenever you want. But as an investor, I want to get the best price possible. Sometimes it's worth waiting a little bit, especially when the technical analysis is saying this thing might sell off. Might is the key word. So sure enough, we have our big breakup. We have a breakout and a dump, breakout and a dump. And we start kind of hanging out in these levels. Now the volume has decreased a little bit, but we're still hovering on this support. We're still also hovering on the Bollinger Band support. And I decided right here seemed like a good time to get in. I'm an investor now. I'm going to hold the stock for years. That's what I'm thinking. And then this happens. What happened here was that Funko announced that they had purchased a NFT blockchain company, and the details weren't specific, but they had purchased it anyway. And on that news alone, you can see that the stock just rockets way up. Now, when I see these big candlesticks like this, straight up green, another one, straight up green, this is where I start to get nervous. And I start thinking, it might be time to lock in my gains, because not only do we have a straight up rally, but we're overbought. And then I go back here and I look. straight up, overbought, straight up, and another one here, straight up, overbought, I'm watching this in real time, and I'm thinking, this looks a lot like this, and a lot like this. And the fact that I have this, and this, and this, I'm thinking, even though I said I was going to make an investment here, this is a really good profit in just 5 or 6 days. I have it written down. I bought it at 1881 on the 25th, which is right around here. Just a few short days later, on April 2nd, that's yesterday, the stock was up 29%, and I sold at 24.43. Let's find it. 24.43. Sold right here. Because I said, anytime the stock opens super strong like this, I'm going to get a little nervous. So even though I said I'm going to be an investor, I traded it. I don't even care because I made $563 in 5 days on one stock. And look what happened. It pulls back right away, just like it did here and just like it did here. Now, these are no guarantees, right? Obviously, it's not a guarantee that 100% it will do exactly what it did here and exactly what it did there. But the indicators are there. So the smart move as a trader is to take your profits. And the smart move for me, even though I was an investor or planning on being an investor, was to lock in my gains. Now, I still have a huge position in Funko. I have a lot of other shares. But this just happened way too quickly, and I thought, it's a good profit. It's 5 days. And by the way, if you've been watching my other videos, these last couple of months, February and March, have been very quiet. And I always talk about this, right? I always say I don't stress over the money because I have my rainy day fund, and I know this is going to happen. This is part of trading. You're going to have months where they're very quiet. So, with that being said, I wasn't particularly worried, but when I had a profit like this, even though my plan was to invest, I based it off of what had happened most recently and said, you know what, I bet the stock is going to sell off pretty big. And it did. It went from 25 to 20. And it went from 24 to 19. And here it went from 21 to 17. So it tells me we're going to have pretty big sell-offs every time this happens. So yeah, I took my profit and I'm not mad about it. And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to watch this yellow 200-day moving average. And I'm going to keep my eye on the stock. And as we get closer down to here, I will start buying again. Or if the pattern reverses and we have some big strong volume like this or like this or like this, even if we don't hit the support line, maybe I'll get back in. Maybe next week, the relative strength index will be the stock that indicates to me that it's time to buy. This last week, it wasn't. Relative strength index didn't come into the equation when it came to buying, but it damn sure came into the equation when it came to selling. So I hope this video was helpful. I hope you learned something. There are other ways to trade using the moving averages as support and resistance lines. Relative strength doesn't always come into play. You can still make trades. And if you thought this video was helpful, please hit the bell, please subscribe. Thanks for watching and have a good day.